Matching finishes. When is it okay not to match? This is a great question. It was brought up to me during a material finish meeting with a client the other day. And the question was, what if these finishes don't match? Meaning maybe the light fixture and the hardware, the plumbing, all that stuff. And it was a great question. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through how to come up with a solution of when it's okay to match things and when it's not okay to not. The beginning of any design process starts with inspiration. Inspiration is usually brought into with imagery, creating a mood board, and getting the all over feel of the design that you're going to be implementing into the space. From here, we have a concept, and that concept is going to be the direction to the design. So we can always lean back from our inspiration to where we gathered our concept, and then we can go into what is now the exciting part, which everybody loves. The best part, selecting your actual materials, getting to go shopping for all the elements that you're going to be putting into your space that's going to support your concept, which was driven by your inspiration. And so it's very simple. You look at a material, you look at a piece of furniture, whatever it is that's going in your space, and you actually ask the question, does this support my concept? Is this going to give me the overall feeling and vibe I'm going to be trying to implement into this space? So that is the super fun part about interior design. That's one of the things I love. So when I got asked the question, my client asked a simple question. Is it okay to not have your finishes match? In this case, the question came from my client who we are designing this gorgeous bathroom. And in a bathroom, you have a lot of things in one small space. So there was the faucet, there was the fixtures for the lighting, and there's the plumbing fixtures, and there's also the hardware that goes on the cabinetry. And so we were going over the finishes and I had all the samples laid out. And the question he asked was because he was holding all of these metals all in his hands and they don't match. And so then you start questioning that, which you should question that. And you should always be questioning what you're putting in your space because it's not a guess. It's not just if you like it, it has to have purpose and it has to have function. And so I quickly ran through with him how come it would be okay in this situation for them not to match. In this scenario, my client was concerned about the finish on the sconces. And it's because they just seemed a little bit brighter than everywhere else. And he was very concerned that it would look odd for them not to match. And so when I started discussing the reasoning behind the sconce and that why I selected it, I came across something that was told to me years ago by a colleague of mine, Sandra Blank Design. She's in Northern California, Los Gatos, and I use this a lot. I use this to remind people about the purpose of design, and it is such a great question when you question yourself: is does it need to be twins, or can they just be cousins? And I love this, and I will tell you why. In this particular scenario, we have hardware that is going to be very close to these sconces, and they're off just that little bit. And so it was like, are you going to be nervous about the color not matching, or would you be more nervous selecting a fixture that would hold the same finish but completely change the vibe of the room because of the overall look of that sconce that we'd be replacing it with? So one of the sconces we did start looking at that matched the finishes was this sconce. And this sconce definitely has a heavier, almost more masculine feel than the selection I had shared with them. And then this is where I got to implement my knowledge and let them know it's okay not to match. And this is a great phrase that I love, and that is it doesn't have to be twins, but it has to be cousins. And so you can always think back to when you were a kid and you would go over to your cousins' houses, parents parented way different. Like my aunt parented different than my mom. But when we were at grandma's house, it was the same rules. And so there was like this shared DNA in all of us from the over hierarchy of the family that there was still that DNA, everything was shared. And so I'm going to quickly run through how mismatching materials can work as long as they have a relationship to one another. So you will see that the light fixtures and the towel holder, the faucet, and the hardware all have a little bit of a different brass finish to them. And that's because they're made from different manufacturers. But when you step back and you put these into the room and you put them all together, I see that there is definitely a relationship to all of these. All of these products coming together have the overall vibe of the concept we are aiming for this bathroom. And therefore it works. So it's okay not to match. They're cousins, they're not twins. It's working. So versus the matching sconce material, right? So we were going to aim that everything had to match. You start shifting the actual feeling of your space because you didn't pay attention to the overall details. A heavy light, three of them all together, is going to be a huge impact if it's the wrong shape, the wrong textures. And this is just when you lean back into your design concepts and you sit back and you ask the question, does this support my overall design vibe and mood I'm going for this space? And in this scenario, that's when it's okay. You say they don't have to match. They're cousins. um I think matching is the wrong way. It's going to change the whole vibe. So yeah, this was an interesting conversation. This is what I do all day long with my clients. They ask me simple questions. They're kind of an elaborate answer, but at the end, this is the difference of when you walk into the space and you understand, wow, the space feels great. It feels so good. I love it in here. Versus, ugh, there's something off in here and I can't put my finger on it. Well, your body will always tell you if the space is going to feel good or look good. And then putting together imagery, putting all your materials together on one table, it's a great way to see if everything's starting to talk and dance the same dance in your space. So, the conclusion to when is it okay for materials not to match? When it supports the overall concept of your space. And I am thankful that you took the time to watch all of this. I hope you learned something. And if you have any questions about this, or if you have any questions about your own project that you're working on, send me them, email them, put them in the Facebook group page, do anything. I will do my best to come back with a guided professional answer to help you create good living in your space. Thank you.